Welcome to NewsTrack YouTube channel. In today's video, we share the latest updates on celebrities who sadly passed away today. We remember their lives, achievements, and the impact they had on fans around the world. Our thoughts go out to their families and loved ones during this difficult time. Stay updated with real-time news on celebrity deaths and tributes from the entertainment industry. Robert Benton. Robert Benton dies at 92. Three-time Oscar-winning director and screenwriter Robert Benton, who helmed the 1979 Best Picture Oscar winner Kramer vs. Kramer, as well as such films as The Late Show, Places in the Heart, and Nobody's Fool, and collaborated on the screenplay for Bonnie and Clyde, died Sunday in Manhattan. He was 92. His death was confirmed to the New York Times by his assistant and manager, Marisa Forzano. Benton, who started out as an art director at Esquire magazine, was partnered early on with fellow Esquire alumnus David Newman. They penned the innovative, award-winning 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde, which launched both their careers. They gradually diverged as Benton expanded into directing, starting with Bad Company, starring Jeff Bridges. After Kramer, he continued to turn out dramatic films, which he often wrote, as well as directed. He brought Oscar fortune to actors including Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep, Sally Field, John Malkovich, Jane Alexander, and Paul Newman, with the first three of these winning Oscars for their work in Benton films. He himself won an Oscar as Best Director for Kramer vs. Kramer and for that film's screenplay, as well as for the script for Places in the Heart. Benton began his collaboration with Newman at Esquire. Their first film script, Bonnie and Clyde, was rejected repeatedly until Arthur Penn stepped in as director and Warren Beatty as producer and star. The controversial and violent epic became a rage in 1967, bringing the duo an Oscar nomination. They continued their collaborative efforts with Joseph L. Mankiewicz's There Was a Crooked Man in 1970, and Peter Bogdanovich's What's Up, Doc? Were among the writers on 1978 blockbuster. Christopher S. Bond. Christopher S. Bond dies at 86. Christopher Kit Bond, a Republican who brought billions of dollars in federal funding to Missouri during his 4 terms in the U.S. Senate and who was state's the youngest person to be governor, died Tuesday. He was 86. Bond's family told Governor Mike Kehoe's office that Bond died in St. Louis, but it didn't disclose the cause. Gabby Picard, a spokesperson for the governor, said in an email. Kehoe ordered flags flown at half-staff for the man he described as, quote, skilled statesman. Jason Van Eaton, Bond's former deputy chief of staff, told the Associated Press that his former boss's death marked the end of an era. The lasting legacy of Kit Bond will be the thousands of people that he inspired, he said. U.S. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri described Bond as a, quote, champion for Missouri in a message on X. Former U.S. Senator Jim Talent of Missouri praised Bond's relentless and penetrating intelligence in a statement. As a member of the powerful Senate Appropriations Committee, Bond secured federal money for big and small projects in Missouri, scoffing at government watchdog groups that considered him a master of pork barrel spending. If it's pork, it's an awfully healthy diet for the people of Missouri, Bond said in 1999. Early in his career, Bond was considered a political wunderkind. When he took office at age 33 as Missouri's youngest governor, he was also the state's first Republican chief executive in about 3 decades, and garnered consideration as a vice presidential candidate. His early success stalled when he lost a re-election bid, but he later rebounded to win another term as governor before being elected to the Senate in 1986 and eventually becoming the patriarch of the Missouri Republican Party. Rich Rollins. Rich Rollins dies at 87. Rich Rollins, whose 10-year Major League Baseball career was highlighted by 2 All-Star Game appearances and playing in the 1965 World Series with the Twins, passed away on Tuesday. He was 87. Rollins, a native of Pennsylvania, was a 3-time selection for the All-Mid-American Conference team as a second baseman and had a .383 career batting average while playing for Kent State. After graduating in June 1960, he signed with the Washington Senators. He began his professional career with Wilson NC of the Class B Carolina League and hit .341 in 62 games. Rollins started the 1961 season with Class AAA Syracuse of the International League, but after just one at-bat in 3 weeks, he was sent to Charlotte of the Class A Sally League. While with Charlotte, where he hit .270 in 36 games, he was moved to third base. He was recalled the Twins, who were in their first season in Minnesota in mid-June, and made his debut on June 16th. Rollins hit .294 in 13 games for the Twins. In 1962, he hit .298 with 16 home runs and 96 RBI in 159 games for the Twins. He was named an All-Star twice and played in both All-Star games. MLB had 2 All-Star games from 1959 to 1962. Following the season, in a vote by his teammates, he was named the Twins' most valuable player. He hit .307 in 1963 and .270 in 1964. Following the 1968 season, Rollins was selected by the Seattle Pilots in the expansion draft. He hit .225 in 58 games for the Pilots in 1969. Kevin Bruder. Kevin Bruder dies at 56. Kevin Bruder, the longtime president and CEO of the Utah Grizzlies, died Sunday at the age of 56. The team announced Tuesday. "It is with profound sadness that we share the sudden passing of Kevin Bruder," the East Coast Hockey League club said in a social media post. The team said Bruder died Sunday while enjoying the Utah outdoors, but did not provide further details. Kevin's greatest joy was his family, and he is survived by Susan and their 4 beloved children, Allison, Emily, Joel, and Christopher, the statement says. Bruder was named the general manager of what is now known as the Mavericks Center in 1997 and picked to lead the Grizzlies in 2005. He was elected chairman of the ECHL Board of Governors in 2021. Kevin's commitment to the ECHL over the past 20 years has helped lead the league and grow to where it is today, ECHL Commissioner Ryan Krellin said. He was always steady, rational, and willing to work for the benefit of the greater good. This was reflected in his selection as chairman by the ECHL Board of Governors for each of the past 4 seasons. More importantly, he was a fantastic person, a family man, and a great friend who will be dearly missed. The team praised Bruder as a, quote, tireless advocate for the power of sport and community, and said he was deeply admired by employees. He fostered a culture of professionalism, inclusion, and loyalty, marked by a strong sense of family, the statement says. He led with integrity, humility, and consistency, always quick to celebrate the accomplishments of others, and committed to promoting from within. He believed in people, and he created opportunities for countless careers to flourish under his mentorship. Larry Miller. Larry Miller dies at 79. Larry Miller, a 2-time ACC Player of the Year for North Carolina and 2022 inductee in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, has died. He was 79. The UNC Athletic Department said Miller died Sunday in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. No cause of death was given. An athletic department spokesman said Miller was in hospice care and dealing with medical issues for some time. Miller, a native of Catasauqua, Pennsylvania, was a star forward on Coach Dean Smith's first 2 Atlantic Coast Conference championship and Final Four teams in 1967 and 1968. He earned first-team All-America honors both seasons and was a consensus pick in 1968, along with UCLA's Lou Alcindor, Houston's Elvin Hayes, LSU's Pete Maravich, and Louisville's Wes Unseld. Miller scored in double figures in 64 consecutive games, still a UNC record. Miller scored 1,982 points in 3 seasons and averaged 21.8 points, the 5th highest by a Tar Heel. In one of his most memorable performances, he scored 32 points on 13 of 14 shooting from the field in an 82-73 victory over Duke in the 1967 ACC championship game. Led by Miller, Carolina went 70-21, including 32-10 in ACC regular season play from 1965 to 68. The Tar Heels were number 4 in the final Associated Press polls his last 2 seasons, the first time Carolina was ranked in the top 10 in the final poll in consecutive seasons. Miller played 7 years in the ABA and set the league's all-time single-game record with 67 points. Sabu. Sabu died at 60. Wrestling legend Sabu, known for revolutionizing hardcore wrestling with his brutal in-ring style, has passed away at the age of 60, WWE confirmed on Sunday. Born Terry Brunk, Sabu gained a cult following through his daring, high-risk performances and violent matches that pushed the boundaries of professional wrestling. His final match took place in Las Vegas during WrestleMania weekend, where he faced Game Changer Wrestling's Joey Janela in a no-ropes barbed wire match, emblematic of his hardcore legacy. WWE is saddened to learn that Terry Brunk, known to wrestling fans as Sabu, has passed away, the company said in a statement. WWE extends its condolences to Sabu's family, friends, and fans. Game Changer Wrestling GCW also paid tribute, stating, "He was an outlaw and a game changer. He inspired so many that stepped inside a GCW ring, and he will continue to inspire for generations to come. His legacy will last forever, and he will never be forgotten. Rest in peace." And long live Sabu. Sabu was the nephew of wrestling legend Ed Farhat, known to WWE fans as The Sheik, and carried on the family's wrestling tradition with fierce intensity. Over his decades-long career, he competed in numerous promotions around the world, including ECW, WCW, WWE, NJPW, FMW, TNA, XPW, AJPW, BJW, and AEW, among many others. Sabu left an indelible mark on Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, where he helped define and popularize hardcore wrestling. He was a Triple Crown champion in ECW, capturing the ECW World Heavyweight Championship twice, the ECW World Tag Team Championship 3 times, and the ECW World Television Championship. He also held the FTW Heavyweight Championship. Matthew Best. Matthew Best died at 68. Born in 1957, Matthew Best studied as a choral scholar at King's College, Cambridge, and at the National Opera Studio. In 1973, at the age of 16, he founded the Corydon Singers. Almost 20 years later, he formed the Corydon Orchestra, which went on to make over 30 acclaimed recordings on Hyperion. In 1980, Best made his professional debut at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, as a company bass. He later performed nearly 100 operatic roles in over 100 cities worldwide. He was a regular guest artist for all the major UK opera houses, singing the roles of Wotan in the complete Wagner Ring cycle, The Flying Dutchman, King Mark, Amfortas, Kurvenal, King Heinrich, Scarpia, and Joshanen, and premiering new works by Jonathan Harvey, Julian Anderson, and Kaija Saariaho. In 1979, he conducted the premiere of his operetta Alice, based on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, in Cambridge. He also made guest appearances with the English Chamber Orchestra, Northern Sinfonia, City of London Sinfonia, and BBC Singers. In 2015, he joined the Royal Northern College of Music as a professor of vocal studies, remaining in post until August 2024. He led his final performance in March 2025, conducting the Academy Choir and London Mozart Players. The following month, he was presented with a fellowship of the RNCM in acknowledgement of his distinguished career. Matthew was an exceptionally inspirational teacher and musician, and it was a huge privilege to have him on our team, RNCM Head of Vocal Studies and Opera Lynn Dawson said in a tribute. He is greatly missed by our staff and students, and our thoughts remain with his family at this very sad time. Jerry Francis. Jerry Francis dies at 91. A statement from Leeds United confirmed the former player's passing. It read, "Leeds United are saddened to hear of the passing of former player Jerry Francis, aged 91. The South African winger represented the club between 1957 and 1961, becoming the first black footballer to play for Leeds and would go on to score 9 goals in 50 appearances. A true pioneer, Francis was also the first black South African to play in England's top division and featured in Don Revie's opening match in charge of Leeds, alongside Billy Bremner and Jack Charlton in March 1961 against Portsmouth. Having left his homeland during the height of apartheid, Jerry swapped his role in a shoe manufacturing company to become his country's second black footballer to play abroad professionally. The attacker would welcome the signing of compatriot Albert Johannesson, with whom he would share the pitch on 3 occasions on opposite flanks, and was best man at his wedding. Following his time at Elland Road, Francis then joined York City before moving on to Tunbridge. Jerry passed away over the weekend in Canada, surrounded by his family. Francis first played in the segregated leagues of apartheid-era South Africa, and arrived in England after Steve McConey signed for Coventry City to become Europe's first black South African player. In 1956, Francis's friend wrote to Leeds United about the winger, and the club agreed to offer him a trial. He traveled from his home on the outskirts of Johannesburg, played in a trial game, joined the reserves, and duly signed as a professional at Elland Road in 1957. A YEP report said, Francis, who is 5 feet 8 inches and 10 stone 7 pounds, and a shoe repairer by trade. Koyo Kuo. Koyo Kuo dies at 57. Koyo Kuo, the groundbreaking Swiss-Cameroonian curator who was to become the first African woman to head up the Venice Biennale, died suddenly on Saturday, the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art Africa announced. It is with profound sorrow that the trustees of Zeitz MOCAA announced the sudden passing of Koyo Kuo, our beloved executive director and chief curator, on Saturday the 10th of May 2025, said the museum in a statement on Monday. Kuo, 57, had been put in charge of the 61st edition of the Biennale Arte, which will take place in Venice from April to November 2026. Born in 1967 in Douala, Cameroon, but educated through her teens and 20s in Zurich, Kuo had been executive director of MOCAA in Cape Town, South Africa, since 2019. It holds the continent's largest collection of contemporary art. She was previously the founding artistic director of Raw Material Company, an art center in Dakar, Senegal, which had a big impact on her. It's the place I came of age professionally, where I really became a curator and an exhibition maker, she recently told the Financial Times. Dakar made me who I am today. As curator of the Biennale, she was due to present the exhibition's title and theme in Venice in a week's time on the 20th of May. In a statement, the management of the Venice Biennale said they were, quote, deeply saddened and dismayed to learn of the sudden and untimely passing of Koyo Kuo. They said Kuo had, quote, worked with passion, intellectual rigor, and vision on the conception and development of the Biennale Arte 2026. The statement added, her passing leaves an immense void in the world of contemporary art and in the international community of artists. Larry Lee. Larry Lee dies at 78. The Ozark Mountain Daredevils announced the passing of one of their founding members, Larry Lee, on Sunday, May 11th. According to the band's website, the band started in 1971 in Springfield, with musicians Larry Lee, Steve Cash, Michael Soup Granda, John Dillion, Buddy Brayfield, and Randall Chowning. Springfield Rotary Club to award grants to several organizations. The band is known for songs such as Jackie Blue and If You Wanna Get to Heaven. Larry was a gracious and caring man, and as we reflect on his legacy, we choose to believe that the world was a better place because he cared for it and his friends so admirably. The band said in a social media post, his lyrics will live forever, and we will proudly continue to celebrate his life by playing those songs on stage. Larry Lee was 78 years old. Larry Lee, a founding member of the Ozark Mountain Daredevils who penned the hit Jackie Blue with late bandmate Steve Cash, died early Saturday in Springfield. News of the loss spread quickly, reaching members of the current band on tour in Wisconsin. It was unexpected for all of us, said manager Dwight Glenn, who confirmed the death of the band's longtime friend and brother. Samuel French. Samuel French dead at 45. Samuel French, who starred alongside Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, died on May 10th following a battle with cancer, his friend Paul Sinecor confirmed. Samuel was 45. According to Paul, who spoke to The Hollywood Reporter, Samuel battled a cancer that spread through his body over the past couple of years and died before the release of their upcoming film Towpath. Samuel was a dear friend and an incredible actor, Paul told the outlet in a statement published May 12th. Towpath wouldn't exist without him, and the incredible intensity he brought to the role of Det. Bernard Crook set the tone for the entire film. Together we were on an extraordinary journey, giving everything we had to realize a shared creative vision. Samuel carried a fire for acting that burned in every frame, unfiltered, fearless, and alive. He gave himself completely to the work, and it showed, the writer-director continued. I am deeply saddened by his loss, and only wish he could have seen the final cut. He was one of a kind, and he will remain in our hearts forever. Samuel, who is a native of Texas, starred alongside Leonardo DiCaprio and Lily Gladstone in Martin Scorsese's 2023 film Killers of the Flower Moon, as FBI agent C.J. Robinson. Prior to his death, Samuel filmed Towpath, which was directed by Paul and starring Eric Roberts. In the film, the late actor played a detective who investigates a murder in a small town during the civil rights movement. Samuel's other notable roles include Fear the Walking Dead, Pegasus, Pony with a Broken Wing, and Texas Rising. 2 weeks before his death, Samuel celebrated winning Best Supporting Actor at the 2025 Cowpokes International Film Festival. Stuart Frank. Stuart Frank dies at 66. A well-known musician with roots in mid-Michigan has died. Stuart Frank died Friday from complications related to a stroke he suffered in 2019. He was 66 years old. Frank was born in Saginaw and moved to the Detroit area. He recorded 12 albums in all and did opening shows for Bob Seger and Eddie Money. Frank father served as Saginaw's mayor in the 1960s. I know it's a big ask, but can you come? Especially since it's the middle of winter? Can you come out and sing this with me? And he said, absolutely, she said. In the end, you don't regret what you did, you regret what you didn't do, so get busy. Frank was busy with life in the mid-90s when he had a hit with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Even Bruce Springsteen sang a Frank song. I was impressed, and I think he is good guy, said Jack. Stuart can make anything happen. You know, I mean, yeah, like let's get Bruce to sing with me, okay? Sadly, his health would deteriorate with leukemia and a bone marrow transplant. He then died from complications related to a stroke that he suffered back in 2019. So it felt like a sucker punch in the way you know it's coming. You wish you would have seen him more, Jack said. You wish you would have talked to him more. All those things just come rushing through. Jeff Bridges. There's a gentleness in Jeff Bridges that's always set him apart. In a world of noise, he brought quiet strength. In roles like The Big Lebowski, Crazy Heart, and True Grit, he showed us the beauty of imperfection, the soul behind the smile, the truth behind the swagger. But now, far from the lights and sets, Jeff is facing a battle not written into any script. His health has taken a troubling turn, and those who love him, both near and far, are growing more concerned. The risk may be increasing. Years ago, Jeff faced a diagnosis of lymphoma. He met it with the calm resilience that defines him, undergoing treatment with grace and gratitude. For a while, he seemed to be recovering, finding moments of joy, of music, of life. But illness has a way of lingering, and now his strength is waning again. The days are more delicate. The body that once carried stories across decades now requires rest, care, and quiet. Yet even in this vulnerable moment, Jeff's spirit remains soft, steady, full of light. He still offers kindness to those around him, still reflects with wonder at the life he's lived. And we, as his fans and admirers, reflect too, on the art he's given us, on the depth he brought to every role, on how he made us feel. It's painful to watch a man so full of soul face something so unforgiving. But in this silence, there's also reverence. Jeff Bridges was never just a great actor. He is a man of rare warmth, humility, and depth. And as his health becomes more fragile, we hold him closer in our hearts. We send love, we send strength, and we say thank you for the laughter, the tears, the music, the wisdom, for reminding us that even in life's hardest chapters, there is beauty.